Hello and welcome to round 5 of the HWE BIM Services Super 1 Championship. We bring you this SlipStream broadcast powered by Alpha Live of round 5. Here it's the first of 8 finals. We start with Mighty. They're not Mighty out on track. That's the final few laps of our senior Rotax second heat. And we saw some wave yellows in the background, but at the moment George Cole leads that race by 2.5 seconds. He's comfortable at the front from Jarek Metters, who won the first of the 2 heats earlier on today. The 2 heats setting the grid positions for the final. As you can see, it's been a very wet day thus far here at Clay Pigeon. However, the track is drying, and it is drying rapidly, but with more rain forecast in the next half an hour or so. Drivers will need to keep both wets and slicks available for use. As you can see from the screen, I am David Sullivan, back for the rest of the HWE BIM Services 2026 season. We're here then at the shortest of all of our tracks on the calendar at just over 800 metres. The very short but enjoyable for most of the drivers Clay Pigeon Raceway. Very single line around most of the track, particularly in the wet weather conditions. It favours the brave, particularly heading up towards Billy's Bend on the opening lap. As you can see, light rain expected towards the end of our race day. It's 3:45. Rain expected is on the horizon. We're expecting some in the next 5 or 10 minutes or so. So we may not get any slick running today. Will only benefit the drivers tomorrow, of course. 1 set of tyres for both race days here in the Super 1 Championship, which means that if we do have a dry day tomorrow, everybody will be going out on box fresh rubber for round number 6 tomorrow, the halfway point in the HWE BIM Services Super 1 Championship. The first then of 8 finals is about to get underway. It's time for Mighty. Before we head towards the grid, good afternoon to Pam Warmington in the live chat of the Slipstream broadcast. Here to support Chase and Jax Warmington's friends. They're not here this weekend, I don't believe, so just please let us know why, and we look forward to welcoming them back later on in the season here in Super 1. But Pam is supporting River Di Giorgio Miller, EJ Deera, who will be out in this next race, Timothy Robinson, Jaden Bond and Jax Wong. So a mix of drivers through Bambino classes and in the cadet ranks as well. So we'll get a grid up shortly. Now here in Super 1, the grids for the heats are the same, so it's not start where you finish. So you'll, wherever you qualify is where you start both of your heats. So qualifying is very, very important here in the Super 1 Championship, as the number 17 senior Rotax machine is recovered back into pit lane. Robin Brain, local driver from Exeter in Devon, so hopefully we'll have turned a few laps around this Clay Pigeon circuit, but that kart heading back in after a retirement in heat number 2, so that will harm points in the final, but complete reset for tomorrow, where we have another qualifying session, and we'll be straight into race day tomorrow. We'll be live from just after 11 o'clock with all of the action tomorrow, heats and finals, on the Alpha Live channel. As the unmistakable dress sense in the bottom right hand corner there of Josh East, our series photographer. So parents, helpers, mechanics making their way out onto circuit to await the arrival of our first final for Might Ease. Then we head towards Intermax. They'll have an amalgamated final today with Might E Super Cadet, whereas tomorrow they will be split. Then it's iArmy M1, Coma C50, then another amalgamated set of finals with Micromax and iArmy Water Swift going together, and then Honda Cadet and Might E Cadet going together before Junior Rotax and Senior Rotax. Grid then sees Luca Pede on pole position, the championship leader. He starts alongside the UK plate of EJ Deera with Fabian Smith and Max Tetlow, the Heat 1 winner. Going off the second row, Oliver Reynolds and Artur Nodula on row number 3 with Joshua Chung and Teddy Veselovsky on row 4 in front of Jensen Paris and Reggie Love. Aidan Castleman and Rafe Verdi go off row number 6. Row 7 will see Eli Parkhouse and Archie Watkins with Astro Matthews and Jack Wass, Fraser Payne and Maya Rossiter on row number 9. 18 runners then, and it looks like we are away and racing for the first of our standing starts as we head up towards Billy's for the first time. And it's Luca Pede, drivers round in the middle of the pack. Looks like that could well have been the 55 of Gabriel Chu. No, he's in Iami M1, sorry. The 55 is Jensen Paris. And then one driver a little bit further down will pick them up at the end of lap number 1. Luca Pede then leads from EJ Deera, moved down the inside by Jack Wass in the 67. Looks like he has made a very, very good start. That could be Max Tetlow. It is Max Tetlow. He had a white cart last time I saw him. He's running the 57. He's in 3rd place in front of the 99 of Fabian Smith. The top 4 on a little bit of a breakaway. Head up towards the static camera of the final corner. So as they head up and over the timing line in this 9-minute plus 1 lap final, Luca Pede leads then from EJ Deera and Max Tetlow. As down the inside goes Tetlow. EJ Deera is going to lose 2 places there as Fabian Smith goes down the inside of him as well. Joshua Chung and Artur Nodula in the Ayrton Senna replica helmet in 6th place. He's under pressure now from Oliver Reynolds, who appears to have found a way past Teddy Veselovsky. Aidan Castleman, Eli Parkhouse completed top 10 as Artur Nodula goes down the inside in the number 21 machine on Joshua Chung, moves himself up inside the top 5. So he needs to try and catch up to this train of 4 at the front. As we see, it looks like we've got a bit of rain coming down once again. So it had stopped for pretty much most of the second heat. So after lunch, back into the second heats, but don't think it'll change the track conditions too much, but in terms of spray on the visor, will certainly give the drivers something to think about as Max Tetlow thinks of the Billy's Blind complex up towards the S's, and Max Tetlow leads. So these weather conditions a lot drier than when he won heat number 1 earlier today, as we're nearly 3 wide. Aidan Castleman trying to draw alongside the 77 of Oliver Reynolds. As Joshua Chung in front gets a little bit of snap oversteer around the horseshoe and will try and hold on down the inside. Oliver Reynolds is going to try and keep his footing all the way around the outside. Can he find the grip around the top bend? Yes, he can, with a lovely little switchback. Was on the outside, then he's on the inside on the exit of the corner and gets the job done before they head up towards the timing line on this anything but straight start-finish straight here at Clay Pigeon. It's a start line that often favours those drivers in second place, particularly for the rolling starts. They are on the outside as they go round the first part of the corner, but then it gives them track position for the right-hander into Billy's. So you'll often find the driver in second place taking full advantage on the opening lap of that, particularly on the rolling starts. Not so much so in the standing, which we had in this race for our mighty runners. 3.5 minutes on the clock, and it is now a 5-cart train because that's Artur Nodula, who's towed up onto the back and actually found a way past EJ Deera now as Luca Pede and Max Tetlow take differing lines into Billy's. Everybody back in single file though for the S's. The S's with junior and senior Rotax later on. They'll be trying to flatten those curbs because in the wet there is more grip on concrete than there is on tarmac. So they'll be trying to hook the wheels up over those curbs. You can't do that quite so well in these smaller carts. They do tend to bottom out a little bit, but Max Tetlow has got a little bit of a gap at the front now from Luca Pede, particularly in the twisty bits, but Pede will benefit greatly from the slipstream. And here comes Artur Nodula again, and he is up into 3rd place now. Top 6 take trophies. Oh, he's gone in a little bit too hot though into Billy's. He's on the outside. He's managed to hold on to it somehow. But the hard work in getting up into 3rd place has been undone. He drops back down into P5 for Arten Odula. Just going to have a quick look where he placed in the 1st and 2nd heats for Arten Odula. He's found his way back past EJ Deary. He was P5 in heat number 2. And results-wise for heat number 1, he was P8. So certainly likes it, as we've got a slow-moving kart on the inside as the leaders come up to some lap traffic. And Max Tetlow has found the way, but Arten Odula, I think, is going to have some track position here. He's going to push Luca Pede, and he's back up into 3rd place, going down the inside of the 99 of Fabian Smith. There's a contact warning for Luca Pede. I think that was for going into the back of the lap traffic. So it wasn't for the battle for the lead, but there was certainly some lap traffic there that got a bit of a surprise with the arrival of the current championship leader, who will be looking to extend. There's a contact warning as well for Arten Odula, currently running in that 3rd place. And with 3 minutes to go, if he can keep this pace up, there's every chance that he can challenge Luca Pede and Max Tetlow for the lead here. We go 5 deep at the front of this race, down to EJ Deere as they navigate more lap traffic here. And Max Tetlow's going to try and go all the way around the outside, and if you can put a kart between him and a few others by the time they get to the 1st corner, the top 3, 4 are through. As EJ Deere is now past Fabian Smith, although Deere had to go round the outside of the lap traffic. Smith took the shorter inside line, hasn't managed to find a way through. And right on cue, the fastest driver on track, the man I was speaking about earlier, Arten Odula. 2 minutes and 10 remaining. There's Oliver Reynolds, currently running 2nd in the championship, coming into this 3rd of 6 weekends in this 12-round championship. 2 rounds per weekend. Heading to Fulbeck, 1st weekend of July for round 4. Wilton Mill and Shennington to follow, before we crown our HWE BIM Services 2026 Super 1 champions in late September. So a little bit of a gap at the front now for Max Tetlow. He begins to pull away, and we'll be hoping behind him Luca Pede and Arten Odula will start a battle over 2nd place. But those two, if they can work together for a lap, will give them both a chance, and they do look quite quick down round the hairpin at the bottom. Earlier on in the race it was Max Tetlow who looked really, really good through the twisty bits. Looks like the two behind have got him figured out now. So it should be 2 laps to go. It's the shortest in terms of lap times. They crossed with around about 50 seconds on the clock. 53 was the best lap time on the previous lap by Luca Pede. The rain appears to have subsided once again. There's a little bit of sunshine coming into it in the distance. We've lost Jensen. We've lost a driver out of 4th place. It was Fabian Smith who's dropped down from P5 to P9. Looks like he's had a little bit of an excursion with a 101 lap on the previous. And at the front, as the timer ticks down to 0, Luca Pede is going to have extended, Max Tetlow is going to have extended that gap. It's showing Luca Pede as the race leader in the top corner, but it's certainly Max Tetlow as Arten Odula moves down the inside. Takes the wider line round Billy's, but it appears to be the quicker line as long as he can keep it on track. He had that little bit of an excursion earlier on. It's been a superb drive by Arten Odula, but one where he may well feel, if he looks back, if he not made 1 or 2 little errors, another one there down the hairpin, he could have taken the victory here. But The charge through this field for Arten Odula, having started in P6, is going to yield him a second place. It'll be his highest HWE BIM Services Super 1 finish if he can finish inside the top 3 as Luca Pede goes back down the inside. The day, though, belongs to Max Tetlow. He's going to take the victory. It's going to be Tetlow from Pede and Odula. That's your top 3, and on your podium, EJ Dira will collect a trophy in P4, as will Oliver Reynolds and Aidan Castleman. That's your top 6. Tetlow, Pede, Odula, Dira, Reynolds and Castleman in front of Eli Parkhouse, Teddy Veselovsky and Fabian Smith. Joshua Chung rounds out the top 10. Ray Verdi in P11 with Johnson Paris after the opening lap spin recovering to P12. Reggie Love, and it's going to be Astro Matthews and Archie Watkins. They're still racing towards the timing line. Jack Voss and Fraser Payne will have taken the checkered flag. They are going to be classified in 16th and 17th. So Astro Matthews in P14, Archie Watkins P15. But it's Max Tetlow with a gap of 0.4 of a second taking victory here then at Super 1 at round number 5. Clay Pigeon in front of Luca Pede, who extends his championship lead from Oliver Reynolds and Aidan Castleman. He came in with a 24-point lead. He's going to leave with plus 30 from today as we head towards tomorrow. And Luca Pede will be certainly hoping that to take that momentum into the second half of the season as we head towards Fullbeck after this weekend. So we can park the Mighty Cadet notes Bambino notes for today. And move on then to Mighty Super Cadet. So it's 2 forms of Mighty Cadets. We have Standard Cadet and Super Cadet. And we have Intermax as well. So it's an amalgamated grid. Plenty of action for us to try and keep up with in what's going to be a chaotic race in very testing conditions as the track continues to dry then here at Clay Pigeon. So field will be making their way off and into scrutineering. We'll keep an eye out on our next 2. In Mighty Super Cadet, Harry Stinson takes a 7-point lead into this weekend from long-time rival in this class, Ansel Murray. Will Beattie and Logan Jackson just a few points behind as well. 28 points, splitting the top 4 in that championship. Whereas in Intermax, it's been a 1-horse race for a lot of the season so far. Charlie Gregg comes in with a 47-point lead. Back to TJ McLeish, Calvin Sherlock and Arlo Atwood. They're split by 7 points, 7 down to 4. So, field on the dummy grid. We've had a final call for one driver. Not sure we're going to get him because we're only moments away from being rolled out. Let's play a game of can you guess which corner that is? No. Very short game. Here we go then. It's Mighty Super Cadets making their way out onto circuit first, and then Inters will follow. So we'll have one grid up on the screen, but I'll let you know where the split is. So Logan Jackson will be the pole driver. He heads out first. 1-1-2 machine. Rolling start, I think, as they get themselves into position. Jackson and Stinson on the front row then, with Casey Baker and Ansel Murray in front of Will Beattie and Jacob Hutchinson on row 3. Row 4 will be Harry Watkinson and Jaden Bond, Zachary Parr and Brandon Hartley in front of Oscar Dudley. Then it's the first of your Intermax runners, the 8 of Charlie Gregg in front of TJ McLeish. That's your front row. Calvin Sherlock and Amelia Jade Hay are on the second row. Leyland Bradnan and Xavier Davidson in front of Joshua Knayston Wade and Harley Hassel as we look to be away and racing at the first time of asking in our Mighty Super Cadets. As round goes Harry Stinson, and he's joined by the 139 as well of Casey Baker. That's both drivers out of the top 4 round at the first corner. They are clear though, for by the time we get going in Inters in the background. We'll keep an eye on them as they head up towards the hairpin for the first time. As across the grass goes the 45 of Joshua Knayston Wade. So he gets to a grips, and we've got a few spins and no contact between any of them. We've had an initial spin and then a driver, I think it was Jan Hamira going round in the 77 initially, and then another driver spinning out of sympathy. As always, we'll try and pick up the best we can the Mighty Super Cadets on timing, although we do have the usual transponder issues for that class. Charlie Gregg though leads in Inter with a gap of 0.3 of a second. Back to TJ McLeish. Round goes a 15 of Oliver Wynne at the second corner. Field make their way up and round the hairpin for the second time. Jackson with the fastest lap in the Mighty Super Cadets in the 1-1-2. Looks like he's got a good gap at the front at the moment to Ansel Murray. So Inters making their way round Billy's as again see the tracks continuing to dry. One of the Joe Weaver racing carts going a little bit wide, as that's a change for the lead. Down the inside goes TJ. Championship are going at it at the front here in the opening few minutes, and they'll need to get this sorted out because they will begin to catch the back of the Mighty Super Cadets in front of them very, very quickly. Joys of multi-class racing means that they have to find their way through traffic. So McLeish now from Charlie Gregg, Leyland Bradnan and Joshua Knayston Wade, although Calvin Sherlock goes back up into 3rd place. That's been a fairly regular occurrence actually. He was having transponder issues by the look of things in the second heat as well when I was watching live timing, where he was shooting back up the order. Greg is back through then now on the 74 of TJ McLeish. Up towards the right-hander at the top end. So Charlie Gregg leads, being pushed along by TJ McLeish. McLeish trying to get the switch back on Charlie Gregg into the right-hander. Can't get it done at the S's, and Gregg continues to lead this race. 5.5 minutes to go. Gregg with a much tighter line around the horseshoe, and that really does seem to benefit him as he moves. It's actually gained him a huge amount of time actually to TJ McLeish. There was only a 10th of a second between the two of them on the previous lap, and that time round Charlie Gregg was 0.8 of a second clear of his championship rival TJ McLeish. Maybe that's a tyre choice by Charlie Gregg. Maybe he's gone a little bit lower, knowing that the track is going to dry out throughout this race, and now TJ McLeish is starting to fall away. Can Leyland Bradnan start to take advantage? Front of the Super Cadet still sees Logan Jackson under pressure, and I think it's Ansel Murray just behind him now. There's Harry Stinson coming back into things in the teal coloured helmet. On the right hand side, he'll be hoping for a little bit of a switch back. Pop the cart down the inside on the exit of the right-hand bend, can't find a way through. This is your lead battle then in Mighty Super Cadet. Logan Jackson, whose rear end appears to be struggling to stay planted, is in third place down the inside. We're going to have a little bit of a switcheroo as Harry Stinson runs all the way around the outside. Lovely little move by Harry Stinson. Thought he was going to go down the inside and then run out of road, but moves himself up nicely into third place. So I'm going to pick out who it was that he was battling with, but Stinson, after that opening lap excursion, will be hoping to catch up onto this battle in front of him of Logan Jackson and Ansel Murray. Jackson 3.5 minutes away from his first final victory in Super 1. Earlier on, we've got a kart on the outside there, stationary. So that was why Ansel Murray waited to make the move, and now does it up towards the hairpin and goes down the inside of Logan Jackson. We'll try not to get boxed in with some traffic here. Jackson's going to have to try and hit a little bit of a switchback, and he goes down the inside but gets balked by the number 88 of Ronnie Griffin. And Logan Jackson has got a little bit of work to do now to try and close back up onto the back of the O-plate of Ansel Murray, who uses the 15 of Oliver Wynne for a little bit of slipstream in front of him. So whilst Charlie Gregg at the front of the Inters was moving through the back of the traffic for our Mighty Super Cadets, the Mighty Super Cadets now are starting to come through the back of the traffic for the Intermaxes as well. Minute and a half to go. Logan Jackson tries to hang on to the back of Ansel Murray. Stinson in the background, not close enough to challenge on this occasion after that opening lap spin, but looks to be in third place. There he is. He's got a few karts between himself and his nearest rival. There's the 21. Amelia Jade Hay started this race in fourth place. The number 21 machine. Currently sits just outside the top 10 in the interclass. In her first race weekend here in Super 1. Joined by the 23 of Nixie Hay as well. So two new drivers joining the championship. As wide goes the 65 of Finley Forks into a bit of a spin. And we've got another driver off there as well on the outside. Time elapses to 0. And it is the Mighty Super Cadets that we watch in terms of time to dictate when that final lap is, because they were the class that started the race, so they'll be the first class to see the last lap board when they come round. It will be the O-plate of Ansel Murray with 43 seconds of lap in front of him as he comes up to the back of Evan Dearden in the number 55 machine. He's going to meet Dearden in the chicane. I don't think it's going to do him any harm. Murray will need to find a way through as they head up towards the hairpin. He's going to try and go through a gap, and does. Beautifully done by Ansel Murray to put a kart between himself and the early pace setter in Logan Jackson. Jackson can't find a way through and Ansel Murray will navigate the final corner to take the victory and narrow the championship gap at the front. Ansel Murray from Logan Jackson and Harry Stinson looks to be a top three. We'll keep an eye out for the 8 of Charlie Gregg. He's got a 7-second lead at the front of the Intermax class. See, there he is coming through. So Charlie Gregg will take the victory in commanding fashion and extend his championship lead in Intermax from TJ McLeish, Leyland Bradnan, Joshua Knayston Wade, Xavier Davidson, and Calvin Sherlock actually goes back up into 4th place on the final lap. Again, transponder issues plaguing Sherlock, but timekeepers here in the office. Rachel Bullard working hard to keep the laps in check. You'll see Charlie Gregg, TJ McLeish, Leyland Bradman, Calvin Sherlock, Joshua Knayston Wade and Xavier Davidson, your trophy takers in the Intermax class. Trolley goes off to collect a few carts. We'll take a short break and we'll be back very shortly with final number 3 in the HWE BIM Services Super 1 Championship. It will be IARMI M1 in a few moments' time. M1s will head out onto circuit now, and we will bring you a grid very, very shortly for IARMI M1, in which is one of our closest championships points-wise, heading into this 3rd weekend of the Super 1 Championship, round number 5 of this Slipstream broadcast powered by Alpha Live. So try and so I don't think we've got a published grid, which means if we haven't got a published grid, we don't get one on screen, but I'm going to try and find one very, very quickly. No rolling lap for our IARMI M1s. Yeah, no published grid, so for us to bring up on screen. So let's just call it as it is. It's the 19 of Teddy Smith, joined on the front row by the 16 of Presley Knight, our highest returning driver from last season. He finished 3rd in the championship, currently sits 2nd, 1 point behind Jack Rossi Minot in the O-plate, who goes off the inside of the 2nd row. And we are away and racing as we head up towards Billy's then for the first time, as the RCE duo off the front row of Smith and Knight switch positions once again. Knight led off the line, off that inside berth, but it's going to be Teddy Smith who finds a way through as they head up towards the first corner. Again, the inside line proving to be the best one, which is not usual in wet weather conditions. Normally you'll see drivers heading towards the outside, but with the banked corner down at the hairpin, throwing it in down the inside normally tends to work, and you see it's the same in the second of the 2 switchbacks as well for the horseshoe. Drivers trying to hook the wheel over the curb. We head up towards the timing line then at the end of lap number 1 with Presley Knight leading the way. at the front of this race, although Teddy Smith finds a way through, and in the background that's the 9 down the inside of Oakley Rudman. He goes wide though, and that will allow Jules Nash to move through. Driver losing out to both of them though was the 51 of Shay Downey. So we are now 3 for the lead at the front as Jack Rossi Minot has caught up to the back of Presley Knight. And then there's a further 3 as wide and almost running off the track is the 9 of Oakley Rudman, and we've got a driver stuck, waved yellow flag, waiting for some assistance. Let's try and pick a number out. We had a 4 on the end of it. Could be George Miller in the 34. Certainly was, as we're at the front once again with Teddy Smith and Presley Knight still battling it out with Jack Rossi Minot in the only non-RCE liveried car inside the top 6, although given that the chassis is bright orange, I'd put good money on it also being an RCE chassis. And it's not got the sticker kit on. Further down we see Henry Exton, Frank Tingle and Stanley Thurston. They're battling it out over 7th, 8th and 9th. So, it appears we have lost, we've lost Teddy Smith somewhere in the number 19 machine. Look on timing for something else and looked up and we only had 2 carts at the front, so apologies if it was on screen, and if it wasn't then I haven't missed anything on camera, but we certainly lost Teddy Smith. He's a lap down now and he's certainly not in that battle at the front, so it's Knight and Minot. That Teddy Smith just behind in the 19, and we've got another transponder issue picking up here. Oh, he's got a little spin there for Frank Tingle, and it looks like Briella Stevens is off as well on the outside. But certainly Jules Nash just behind this in that 3rd place. He's looking comfortable. He's moved away from Shay Downey and Oakley Rudman. Certainly are missing Teddy Smith, unfortunately. Pace-wise from today will give him great confidence going into tomorrow. Jack Rossi Minot dives to the inside. Can't find a way through on Presley Knight, but trying something different, and he's going to try and move down the inside into Billy's. Well, it wasn't really closed by Presley Knight, who just drove all the way round the outside, found some grip, and moved away. So Downey and Rudman continue to battle over that 4th place. Shay Downey takes the inside line and will then find himself on the outside. Oakley Rudman do a switch back, and that is a textbook switch back. He's still going to find Downey on his inside though. If he was in a cadet, with cadet power, he'd have had that done nicely. But moves that work in cadet don't always work in the Bambino classes, just because of the different powers that the karts have. So Jack Rossi Minot continues to try and hunt down Presley Knight at the front. Jules Nash in 3rd place with the fastest lap on the previous lap, but was only a fraction quicker than Jack Rossi Minot. I'm not expecting him to close up unless they start battling, just like these two are, as again the 9 of Rudman is going to try that switch back, and he needs to try and get back down the inside towards the final corner. He is alongside Shay Downey. Downey though should have a little bit more grip on the outside and run all the way around the outside. We'll pick that up on timing, because they'll be crossing the timing line about now, and indeed they are. And there's a gap back to Henry Exton and Stanley Thurston, who are 6th and 7th, and also nose to tail, as this time Oakley Rudman is alongside Shea Downey and goes all the way around the outside in the second part of the chicane. Got the switch back done down the inside, and Rudman didn't want to give it up in the S's and held on from Shea Downey, moves up into 4th place, and we'll see now that he's up into that 4th place whether he's got the pace to try and hunt down Jules Nash. With 2.5 minutes on the clock, leaders are starting to catch a little bit of traffic. Shea Gomi in front of them. Up towards Billy, Zagomi going slightly wide. That will allow the 2 leaders to go through trouble-free. Give Zagomi an opportunity to learn from a little bit more experience in front. Jack Rossi not whether he's just keeping his powder dry at the moment. Haven't really seen him try and find a way past Presley Knight. Does take a slightly different line into this final corner. It's a little bit of an earlier turning, but I think that just helps him with a little bit of grip as Briella Stevens and Nicholas answer. Exchange 11th place. Stevens on a bit of a comeback through after the spin earlier on with herself and Frank Tingle. Tingle currently running in 10th place. They weren't together at the time. Tingle was battling with Stanley Thurston and Henry Exton. Thurston's found a way past Exton for 6th place on that previous lap and into the final trophy paying position in the iArmy M1 class. Again, drivers taking slightly different lines, but it's not an overtaking opportunity just yet for Jack Rossi Minot. 48 seconds on the clock. They'll cross the timing line at a very similar amount of time remaining as they come through here. And I think we may well just about get 3 laps in, sorry. I think we'll get 2 more before the last lap board comes out, depending on the pace. Wide again goes Shiana Gomi. Leaders starting to come through. There's a Gomi in the 44 machine. So wide goes Presley Knight, although that is by design. Finding grip on the outside. Jack Rossi Minot just trying to slot himself into a position and feel out where he feels he can find a way past Presley Knight. And come into this championship weekend split by a single point. To be fair, Teddy Smith was only 1 further back, but today isn't going to be his day, unfortunately, as James Talbot has a little bit of an excursion down the far end of the circuit at the hairpin. And we did indeed get round before the time elapsed, so a lap and a half to go between Presley Knight and Jack Rossi Minot. Jules Nash in 3rd place has been hunted down by Oakley Rudman, who was 0.3 of a second faster on the previous lap, and he's 3.5 tenths behind Jules Nash. He's got an opportunity not only of 3rd place, but those two have got a real chance of picking up the pieces if Knight and Minot don't have a clean battle over the lead. 1 lap to go. Final lap board out then as Jack Rossi Minot looks left, looks right, but still can't find a way past Presley Knight at the front of this race. There's your battle for 3rd place in the background. We'll try and keep an eye on that because Rudman is right up onto the back of Jules Nash. Knight with a few kart lengths manages to make his way cleanly. In the background though, that's Presley Knight alongside Nash. Nash is going to have track position up towards the horseshoe. Knight does it. Rudman down the inside, did like that switch back earlier on. Can't find a way past Nash just yet. Leaders up towards the final corner. Can Jack Rossi Minot get a good run out of it as they head towards the timing line? It's going to be Presley Knight from Jack Rossi Minot. They're side by side for 3rd place. It's Jules Nash though from Oakley Rudman. Shea Downey in P5. Who's going to take the final trophy? It's Stanley Thurston in P6, holding off Henry Exton in their race-long battle for the final trophy paying position in P6. Stanley Thurston then from Henry Exton, Gabriel Chew and Vinnie Wright. Briella Stevens gets into the top 10 on the final lap, getting past Frank Tingle. And they finish in front of Esme Barrett and Nicholas Answer, with Timothy Robinson crossing the line now. James Talbot will be the final driver on the lead lap in front of Shana Gomi, with George Miller and Teddy Smith retiring from that race very early on. So, tough day for Teddy Smith. Mechanical flag was the reason. So on an IARMI, that generally means the chain guard has decided it doesn't want to do as many laps as the kart. So Smith into retirement, unfortunately. He'll be back tomorrow. I'm hoping to take some points. We run a 10 out of 12 scores, so you can miss one weekend and drop both rounds, or you can do the full season and drop 1 day from one weekend and 1 day from another. Next class though will be Coma C50, the youngest of our drivers here this weekend. Might not get a chance to bring you a grid on this one because, again, here at Clay Pigeon, they are straight out and straight to the grid. So no rolling up lap for our drivers. The position where the start line is here means we can get them all out and into a standing grid position. So we are away and racing at the first time of asking. Jace Hannon and Matthew Pearson. Pearson off pole position, but it's Jace Hannon, by the look of things, who has made a good start. So it looks like he's managed to hold his position. That's Pearson leading then, I think, in the 45. The field make their way through. Looks like we've had a good start for Logan Grassi, who went off the back of the grid in P12 of 13. There he is, another driver electing to use the Ayrton Senna replica helmet. Does have Brazilian heritage though. Way up, and you can see now the track really is starting to dry. Whilst it remains overcast and we were expecting much more rain, particularly at around about the 4 o'clock mark, it hasn't really materialised yet. Keep looking out the window for a puddle to give me a bit of an idea, but certainly a line appearing. Don't think we're heading towards slicks, that's for sure, and I'll be very surprised if anybody chances it later on. Pearson then with a gap of half a second to the 22 of Noah Gallagher, and it's a big gap as well then back to Jace Hannon, who comes into this weekend as we go 4 wide round the hairpin down the far end of the circuit. Works out well for some, maybe not for others. Reggie Rhodes in the E-plate taking the inside line. So the top two look clear and comfortable. Jace Hannon in front of River Di Giorgio Miller. And arguably Miller looks the faster of those two drivers. He can find a way past Jace Hannon. May well be able to put a bit of a gap between, because we've got Dalton, Dyke, Whitfield, Aidan Hughes, Reggie Rose, Logan Grassi in that mix as well. Regan Abercrombie and Robert Hanley all in that train. Hanley lost a number of places in the 53 on that previous lap. He was down 5, ran in 5th, comes across the line in P10. He was almost on the grass on the outside of that corner on the previous lap, but he's still within touching distance there with a blue helmet at the back of the train as Reggie Rhodes and Aidan Hughes try and switch back each other on the way through. And Jace Hannon, a little bit of a helmet tap. The cadet drivers love that. He'll make a cadet driver one day. Trying it in Bambino with that nice little helmet tap. Asking for some help, but at the moment Got a train of karts, and into the back of him goes the 82, and all of our Bambinos are off. And we've got one perched up on the outside of each other. That's going to take a little bit of clean-up for our marshals with 6 minutes to go. Luckily, we've got a few helpers out on track, but that'll be covered under waved yellows. Hopefully we'll get another view of that one later on, just because there was so much happening as karts are getting pushed back onto track. Pearson with a gap at the front of 1.5 seconds from Noah Gallagher, and then it's 4 seconds back to Jace Hannon, who, well, it'll all change at the end of this lap, because Hannon, Miller, Hughes, Rhodes, Grassy, Whitfield, Abercrombie. So Hanley goes up 6 places, the only driver not to be involved in that melee down at the first corner. We've got one driver, which I think could well be Dalton Dyke Whitfield's kart, being lifted up and away. Whoever it was that was up on the back of Logan Grassy. All of them making really good sort of speed, but the field went up towards the first corner. The closing speeds took a few of them by surprise, and they're still there all battling it out as they make their way through. It is Dalton Dyke Whitfield's kart that was being removed from the circuit down the far end. And his day comes to a premature end, having battled for a trophy. Around the outside. Waved yellows, so head up towards the first corner. I can't see a kart on the outside, so I would expect that yellow to be brought in. To be fair, I did see the marshal sort of walking away at the end of that, so up towards the right-handers, the Ayrton Edward Jones in the Welsh liveried machine, currently running in 5th place. Still got a little bit of light drizzle. The camera was clear earlier, and just had 1 or 2 spots on it now, but nothing to trouble the driver. And certainly there's a line out there on the track that can appear to be considerably drier than the rest of the circuit. Although not a lot of it offering a lot of grip, as Reggie Rhodes goes round the outside, being pushed along by the 82 of River Di Giorgio Miller, and Miller into the back and spins out of the final trophy paying position in 6th place. And River Di Giorgio Miller, who earlier on I said probably had the pace to get past Jace Hannon for 3rd place at the time, but with these karts, particularly in slippy conditions, once the nose cone of these karts gets effectively into the rear bumper of the kart in front, it does make the rear end go very, very light on the brakes. We saw that earlier on with that 6 kart incident at the first corner, and we see it again with River Di Giorgio Miller spinning out of 6th place, and that will put Ayrton Edward Jones back up into the final trophy paying position. But right on cue, Regan Abercrombie sweeps away round the outside and moves up into 6th place. It was a short stay in P6 for Edward Jones. Main sponsored logo. Pearson with a 4.5 second lead then at the front of this race, back to Noah Gallagher, who nearly has 10 seconds back to Jace Hannon, who's been hunted down by the 53 of Robert Hanley. They were very similar paced on the previous lap. We'll see where they are this time round. As the field make their way through. Oh, we've got a spin in for Henry Isles in the middle of the corner there, and it nearly caught out the leader, Matthew Pearson. He had to take evasive action. And Logan Grassi found the way through, and Grassi staying with the leader, so showing the pace that could have been. For Logan Grassi, but at the moment P11 will not help him out. Currently sits P4 in championship heading into this race weekend, and it's been a day largely to forget. Troubles in the heats meant that he started down in P12 for this one. See Aidan Hughes there in the 66 machine. Another driver that's still lap down on the leader. Is Noah Gallagher in second place, tries to find the way through. He's comfortable and doesn't need to do anything silly. Just sit nicely behind now and bring that kart home for a well-earned second place for Noah Gallagher. Time is down to 0. We'll be starting the final lap. This is your race leader, Matthew Pearson, being pursued by 10th place Logan Grassi, and Grassi's been right behind for the last few laps. This is your battle for 7th place with Ayrton Edward Jones, Jacob Hayward White and River Di Giorgio Miller. The hyphenated surname battle for 7th, 8th and 9th. Gallagher has finally found a way through the traffic and moves up in front of the 66 of Aidan Hughes, another one of those drivers involved earlier on. 2 corners from home then, Matthew Pearson with a mammoth lead of over 7 seconds at the moment will make his way round pit bend for the final time, and Matthew Pearson will cross the line to take victory here at round number 5 of the HWE BIM Services Super 1 Championship. Noah Gallagher celebrates a well-earned second place in this race. Jace Hannon will be the next one through, as some of the drivers that have already been overtaken by the leader come through. Hannon in 3rd then, Robert Hanley P4. There's Reggie Rhodes in the black and orange. Should be Regan Abercrombie for 6th place. But on the final lap, Abercrombie's dropping down the order, and River Di Giorgio Miller will take the final trophy of this race. And where has Regan Abercrombie gone? The only driver so far not to see the checkered flag in the 48 machine. So everybody makes their way back in. Pearson then from Gallagher, Hannon, Hanley, Rhodes and Di Giorgio Miller in front of Jacob Hayward White, Ayrton Edward Jones, Regan Abercrombie being shown in P9. The only driver who won't have been lapped on the final lap, because Logan Grassi, Aidan Hughes and Henry Isles. And there is Regan Abercrombie's kart being pushed home, so it can't have been that far from the checkered flag when that kart, because if it had been before the final corner, they'd have pushed it down the pit lane. So, heartbreak for Regan Abercrombie in sight of the finish line. The kart grinds to a halt, and he will be classified in P9 in front of Grassi, Hughes, Henry Isles, and the retiring number 14 of Dalton Dyke Whitfield. There's Whitfield's kart being pushed back home. As the engines of our Micro Match karts are started to the right of the commentary box position. get ready to head out, and indeed they do, onto circuit. So we will bring you a grid then for our micros. They're joined by Miami Water Swift restricted runners as well. We've got a few of those. So grid-wise should be Zain Sofuoglu on pole position. He's joined on the front row by Cooper Galloway in the Jacks Motorsport colours in number 32. Charlie Cale starts alongside Alfie Ward. Championship leader Buster Scott goes off P5. He's got Ellis Holt for company on row number 3. Row 4 we'll see Hugh Riley and Logan Edwards. James Hudson and Eleanor Shelby Parsonage in front of Matty Smith and Ralph Ewer, with AJ Halil, Leo Hunt, Daniel DeBrio and Alfie Mullet, Max Stone, Alexander Radinovsky, and then Ralph Dempsey. Didn't quite get through them all. We are away and racing, are we? Yes, we are. As we head up towards the first corner, as Sofuoglu tries to go down the inside and does on Cooper Galloway. So the field make their way nicely through. Top 7 or 8 single file as 2 of the TDR carts go side by side, and that's Eleanor Shelby Parsonage on the grass as they make their way through the S's on the opening lap. 87 is Hugh Riley. I was watching him practice earlier on, and he looked very, very confident, particularly around the first half of the lap. Did Hugh Riley. I was watching from down the bottom end at Billy's. Leaders are through though. Sofuoglu, Charlie Cale, Cooper Galloway and Buster Scott are in front of Alfie Ward, Hugh Riley, Logan Edwards, Ellis Holt. Oh, is that on the grass? That's this 78 machine going around. Could well be Daniel DeBrio. Indeed it is. In the Sodi colours. It's the 2 RCE carts of Hugh Riley and Logan Edwards working together to find a way through, and struggling a little bit in the opening few laps as the 9, as that round goes the 81 of Matty Smith. Ellis Holt going backwards ever so slightly from his starting position of P6. Was 8th at the end of lap number 1. He's still 8th, but he's losing a little bit of ground. There's dry patches now starting to form down at Billy's. And there is certainly a bit of a dry line now forming, and I do wonder if anybody's going to chance it on some slicks. They're going to have to come offline to make some overtakes, so it's going to be a risky strategy call. But for our juniors and seniors later on, where they've got more of a contact patch and the temperatures in the tyres do come up a little bit earlier, we may well see 1 or 2 taking a chance, particularly if they are further down the order than they expected. Cooper Galloway, good move down the inside of Charlie Cale, and that's going to allow Buster Scott to draw alongside as well. Cale tries to stick it out round the outside, and Scott gets the job done in the second phase. Behind them though, keep an eye out on Logan Edwards and Hugh Riley, because they have got some pace at the moment in the 21 and the 87 respectively. Edwards nearly a 1/10 faster than Scott, and Scott was faster than Galloway. They're all going to concertina together, and Cooper Galloway, having got past Charlie Cale, is already right onto the back of Zain Sofuoglu. Up towards the timing line. We've still got 6 minutes plus 1 lap of this race remaining, and Galloway was 0.4 of a second quicker than Sofuoglu on that previous lap. Few changes in the background further down the order at the periphery of the top 10. Fastest driver on track though is Logan Edwards, and is that Edwards going down the inside of Charlie Cale at the hairpin? Yes it is. Logan Edwards in that number 21 machine has got enough time, I think, to try and battle for the win here, particularly if Sofuoglu and Galloway battle it out, and they're dragging Buster Scott along as well as Scott tries to draw alongside. He's going to have to get back into the slipstream, but I don't think it's going to be too long before we see Cooper Galloway try and make a move on Zain Sofuoglu, because at the minute, as the meat in that top 3 sandwich, he is the most vulnerable of all the drivers, because if he doesn't make it done cleanly, and I think we're going to see Buster Scott go down the inside, nearly got it done because Cooper Galloway, I think, has got the pace to get past Zane Sofuoglu. At the moment, though, Sofuoglu is backing them up. Had the early race pace, but as the track continues to dry and the tyre pressures will go sky high on these wet tyres, they have a block on the top of them effectively of rubber. It moves around where the tread is and it goes higher and higher and higher, and as you can see, Sofuoglu taking a defensive line, and it's not defensive enough, as through goes Cooper Galloway. Change for the lead then. Galloway leads from Zane Sofuoglu, Buster Scott, and right in the background and heading for third place is Logan Edwards, moved down the inside by the 21, and at the moment that's where the money is. That's where the smart money is, I think, for the race victory at the moment for Logan Edwards. Started this race in P8, up into P3 at the moment, and if you can find a way through on Galloway, who has lost the lead again to Zane Sofuoglu, and this, we're going to see it now, he's going to go all the way around the outside as he is Logan Edwards, as the two leaders go slightly defensive. He's going to try and go down the inside. He's going to go down the inside, and then Galloway into Sofuoglu, and Edwards leads. 3.5 minutes on the clock at the end of this lap, and Logan Edwards taking full advantage there of Cooper Galloway trying to go down the inside. He's got a contact warning, but I think it was Galloway into the side of Zane Sofuoglu. Logan Edwards was already there, side pod to side pod, and they went 3 wide round that first corner, and Logan Edwards is through down the inside, and he is off into the distance at the moment. They'll cross the timing line, and he's nearly 8 tenths clear as Sofuoglu continues to hold that second place from Cooper Galloway. Up towards the hairpin. Battle now is firmly for second place because Edwards is away at the front, and Sofuoglu is parking that number 54 machine superbly that Galloway just can't find a way through, and then he's side by side with Buster Scott, and they'll run up towards the final corner, and he's had to go tight with a little bit of a switch back and then goes to the other side of the track. Gap for the lead is out to 1.5 seconds now as Sofuoglu makes his way through. Buster Scott is down the inside of Cooper Galloway, and I thought he was going to get a little bit of overspeed there and find a way past Zane Sofuoglu as well. Has to settle for just the one overtake on this occasion, but they are all backing themselves into Hugh Riley and the 66 of Leo Hunt, who's come out of nowhere. Started P14, did Leo Hunt in the 66. Scott's going to try and go round the outside. It's the long way, but may well give himself track position. He's not got it, but now there with the switch back, moves through into second place. Sofuoglu's going to try and come back at him down the inside, and did have the track position there, and they'll run 3 wide. Cooper Galloway's on the outside. Buster Scott holds on though this time as he uses the line all the way around the outside. And for Cooper Galloway, this has very much been a case of you either eat or you get eaten, and he's not been able to find a way past Zane Sofuoglu, and it has backed himself up and backed himself away, and he finally gets past Zane Sofuoglu, and if he'd have done that on lap 1, I think he's gone and into the distance. And despite the fact that Logan Edwards has had some superb pace in this race, and Sofuoglu falling down now, and that is solely a case of tyre pressures. The track has dried much faster than they expected. They'd gone out with a almost guarantee that the tyre pressures were higher than his rivals, and it's completely out of the hands of the driver now for Zane Sofuoglu. Just got to try and bring that kart home and minimise the points damage to his nearest rivals. Currently holds 5th place from Hugh Riley. At the front though, Logan Edwards, the gap's nearly 3 seconds. Right, Right, he's going to try a little bit of a switch back here. Squeeze Sofawoglu to the inside and try and get through, but Sofawoglu has it scouted nicely. Time is down to 0 as Logan Edwards heads up towards the timing line. Edwards, Scott, Galloway, Leo Hunt from 14th to 4 in fourth place. There he is in the number 66 machine, looking comfortable, as do the rest of the top 4. To be fair, they don't look like they're going to be too close, as Hugh Riley is now, I think, in front of Zayn Sofawoglu in the background. Yes, he is. Hugh Riley then up into 5th place. Sofawoglu holding on to 6th, and we'll have to settle for that. There's not a lot he could have done today with the kart that was underneath him. But Logan Edwards has had the drive of his life so far. The 21 will take its kart to victory lane. Logan Edwards with a commanding victory from the championship leader Buster Scott. Cooper Galloway, a charge from Leo Hunt from 14th to 4, with Hugh Riley and Zayn Sofawoglu your top 6, with Charlie Cale finishing P7. Tommy Delaney gets past Ellis Holt on the final lap for P8, Holt in 9th, and Ralph Ewer completes your top 10 in front of Alfie Ward, Max Stone, and then Santo Amico, who is in fact an IAMI Waterswift restricted runner, making his way all the way up from P28 into P13. He finishes in front of James Hudson, AJ Halil, complete your top 15. And it's going to be Alexander Radokovicki, Matty Smith, Alfie Mullet, Eleanor Shelby Parsonage recovering from that opening lap trip on the grass to finish P19 overall, which will be P18 in our micros. William Ewer, Jackson Boots and Jensen O'Connor with Ralph Dempsey in front of Jensen Drummond, Daniel Thompson, Daniel DeBrio, Archie Ashworth and Ezra Robinson Matthews. All 28 starters see the checkered flag in micro and IAMI Waterswift restricted. So we have 3 finals remaining then. The next one up is an amalgamated Honda Cadet and Might E Cadet before we head towards our Rotax classes in junior and seniors. So 2 classes on show and 2 people in the commentary box. I have been joined. In fact, I'll allow you. Introduce yourself, sir.
Riley Price, I run Team 17 coaching. I am excited for this Honda final. I've been cheering my drive Phoebe on all day, so I'm hoping for a good result.
Hopefully she's not relying on any hand signals, because
no,
you're in here and she definitely won't be able to see you in here.
Well, we've got Nathan out front, as you see on the screen, with a bright blue jacket, so easy to spot.
So we've got Mighty Cadets heading out first, so we'll see if we've got a grid for those for you on screen, and there are your Honda Cadet runners heading out. Nico Veselovsky will lead that field out. Big news coming out of that class earlier on. Henry Colborne, leading heat number 2, came out of the final corner. His kart ground to a halt, hence why he's well down the order. Daniel Stangarian then will lead us round in Mighty Cadet in front of Jacob Amis, Jax Wong and Samuel Kenny, with Harry Voss and Emily Christie on row number 3. Row 4 we'll see Gianluca Hudson and in front of Nico Veselovsky. We're going to get going. We didn't quite get all of the Mighty Cadet runners, because we certainly have more than 7. And we are away and racing at the first time of asking. 9 minutes plus 1 lap. In fact, on timing, it says we're not. It says false start on timing. So we'll keep an eye out on some flags in the background to see if it indeed still showing green in the top left-hand corner, but certainly timing, and there the drivers indicate that it's a false start. Not surprised at all by that one, actually.
That's the thing with these mixed grids. It's hard, because if the Mighties have a false start, then it means that the Hondas have to have a false start, no matter how good the start of the Hondas were. There's been a few times, especially the last round, where some of the Hondas got a really good start, but because the Mighties in front false started, it didn't matter, they just had to regrid.
Also means as well, if the first grid goes, they don't have a choice then. The second grid has to go no matter what. So it does help with only 8 Hondas, bearing in mind that we've got 2 trains of 4. Let's see if we can get going. That does look a little bit tidier, and we do go green this time as we head up towards the first corner with our mighty cadets. And certainly now that dry line is starting to widen considerably, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some of the juniors or senior runners plucking for slick tyres, particularly because they are going to be clear. With 3 wide there, it's a little bit untidy, but we are away and racing as Nico Veselovsky is squeezed to the inside as the field make their way up towards the first corner, and he's going to run side by side along with Reggie Duffusy. And it's been a good start though by Henry Colborne as he's down the inside up towards the hairpin, and Henry Colborne is through.
He's into the lead.
And with a good start from Colborne there.
Hopefully that's the last of the engine problems from Heat 2. It seems to have a good advantage now.
I think they've probably gone with an engine change for that one, as we've got Colborne leading then, Henry Veselovsky and Nico Veselovsky, and it was Reggie Duffusy taking a huge chunk of curb in front of Jesse Bailey and Zach Service.
Is Zach new to this championship? Is this his first round?
He is. I think he's local to Clay Pigeon. He's certainly done 1 or 2 rounds of their club championship, as Zach Service was on the podium in 2nd place at their last club meeting here a few weeks ago. And, very distinctive livery as well, that purple. We haven't got any other purple runners, and we do like that. Taking nothing away from the Ambition duo behind, but sometimes difficult to pick out which one it is, although to be fair, Veselovsky does help out with a bright green lid. He's dropped a place though behind Reggie Duffusy, as making up places as well. That look like Phoebe Shelton trying to make a move down the inside, and will she try and benefit as Zach Service goes down the inside, I think there, of Jesse Bailey. A little bit difficult to pick out who is where, and then we try and cut back to it, and it's trying to pick up where that battle is, whereas the Hondas, that works nicely, although Junior Wright and Daniel Stangarian, we know Stangarian's transponder works, and if there's another kart near him, it will be Junior Wright at the front, as Shelton's going to try and move all the way around the outside. It's a long way round there, around the outside of Zach Service. And,
they're really using all of the track coming into that entry right against the white line to try to give themselves the best turning in possible. But obviously that means an opportunity for a move up the inside.
And these drivers as well, given the limit on tyres for the weekend, will really be hoping that tomorrow is dry, because they're going to have taken a lot of life, as Shelton has got the job done on Service down at the hairpin. They're going to have taken a huge amount of life out of these tyres. I think the horseshoe in the middle is still fairly wet, but everywhere else is very much a dry line. And we saw it in the previous race with Zane Sofuoglu. He had superb pace for the first 2 laps and struggled to hang on to it after that. He just went backwards, and like I say, unfortunately just could only work with the kart he had under him, and they were a little bit too high on pressures, and whilst the track temperature will be cold, they're going to struggle now.
I think Logan Edwards made an incredible move for the lead in that last race as well.
Oh, it was superb, and I think they played the long game there with that. That kart underneath him was superb. Took the win by nearly 3 seconds, did Logan Edwards. It was a great move, took advantage, didn't he, down at that first corner.
Junior Wright's got himself a gap there ahead of Daniel. That would be good for him. It'll be a quick check over the shoulder. No one's there. I'm going to take full racing line.
Coming through, coming through a little bit of traffic now though, as they try to make their way past Emily Christie in the number 23. And again, that adds that extra dynamic to these multi-class formats. We saw it earlier on with the Super Cadets and the Inters. The Inters all round, is that the 17? I think that's Frankie. No overtaking. And they'll work very quickly, I'm sure, to get that kart clear and the racing back underway under full green conditions.
Daniel seems to be closing that gap to Junior just a tiny bit each lap. Junior seemed to pull away at the start, but now sort of Daniel's bringing that gap back in. Junior will have to be a little bit worried. Just quick check over the shoulder there. He knows he's catching.
I think he certainly is. I think through the twisty bit, I think Daniel Stangarian's got a little bit more. I think Junior Wright's probably just getting a bit more launch out of that final corner, and it's showing the gap to be 0.3 of a second. It looks a little bit tighter, and they're coming up onto the back of Frankie Cridge, and this could make all the difference, because round the outside goes Junior Wright, and Daniel Stangarian
Stuck behind the traffic.
can't get through the same gap. Has done it at the next corner, but that's opened up a gap as Reggie Duffy picks up a contact warning. Honda Colborne's got a gap now of over 5 seconds at the front.
Yeah, he's off out in front. He's been really strong all day today, Colburn. Obviously had the problem in Heat 2, but seems to have bounced back well from it.
Got the job done early, didn't he? Found a way through the traffic nicely, as we see Aubrey Harrington Evans finding a way past Zach Service. For 5th place so far, Service in P6. Waved yellow at the final corner. Don't normally see waved yellows there. We'll try and pick out what that is.
Was that the previous number 17 in the Mighty E?
I thought that was on the exit of the S's, but I may well be wrong. I'm trying to see if we've got anybody falling down the order. Certainly don't with any of the Hondas. You never quite know with the Mighties, so still a waved yellow flag. I'm going to see if I can see anything out of the commentary box window. I'm not entirely convinced that I can see a lot up there. There's Henry Colborne though, minute and 45 on the clock for him. We are keeping an eye out in terms of the last lap board for Junior Wright, because the Mighty cadets went off first, so therefore they are the drivers that dictate when that last lap board comes out, and Junior Wright has started to extend the gap at the front to Daniel Stangarian. It's out to be on the second for the first time in this race. As that's Reggie Duffy in second place in the Honda Cadet class. There's your race leader though in that, and he's got mighty traffic between himself and his nearest rival. The gap's out to 6.5 seconds, and wouldn't surprise me if that was beyond 8 at the end of this race, as the 77 and the 71 in Mighty, Jacob Amos and Freddie Howell go side by side, and that's going to get a little bit tight at the horseshoe. Managed to figure it out between the two of them. Freddie Dye, I think, is the driver in 3rd place. In fact, I think Freddie Dye could well be in 2nd place, because that's Daniel Stangarian with a contact warning and giving his steering wheel a hefty right hook as they came up and over the timing line. And in front of them was Jacob Amos in the 71, and he started this race well towards the front, did Jacob Amos. And whilst he is showing a lap down, I think that is a transponder issue, and I think Amos is up into 2nd place.
Well, on the time screen, that says that's Junior Wright as a 6.8 second gap.
Yeah, so Stangarian with a contact warning has gone round. Again, that might not even be contact with a kart that he's actually racing. I don't think it is, in fact, because it's just coming through the traffic. So there is the 27 in front of them of Freddie Dye, who I am fairly sure could well now be the 2nd place runner rather than Jacob Amos. I think we'll find out in about half an hour's time when it gets published, I'd imagine. But there's Junior Wright making his way through. Time is down to 0. So they'll make their way up round the final corner. The last lap board will go out now for Junior Wright.
You want to hope, who's that in front of Junior? That's Phoebe in front of Junior. You want to hope that Phoebe hasn't seen that last lap board, you know, before Junior's crossed the line. Otherwise, it obviously causes some confusion.
Yeah,
there was a driver that came in a lap early at one of the Shennington Club rounds for that exact reason in the race, and he was leading as well.
I don't think it will make any difference now, because down the inside goes Junior Wright. So Whether Shelton saw that last lap board or not is irrelevant now, because the checkered flag will fly for the number 11 of Junior Wright. Wright will come through to win at round number 5 of Super 1. Who's going to be second? I think it could well be Freddie Dye. There is Freddie Dye, who I think will be classed in second place in front of Daniel Stangarian. Keep an eye out as well for Henry Colborne. Shelton will be classified in P4. And we're waiting for Colborne to appear out of the final corner. There's Henry Colborne to take a dominant victory in our Honda Cadet class from Reggie Douglasy, who crosses the line now. Nico Veselovsky will be through in about a second's time. Be the final driver through. Colborne wins in Honda then from Douglasy and Veselovsky. Junior Wright is your winner in Mighty Cadet, we think, from Freddie Dye and Daniel Stangarian, who we think may well have had a bit of a spin down at the final corner. Picked up contact warning. And, might be the new steering wheel after that tomorrow if he's got some power in his right hook. So good driving in challenging conditions as well, because difficult to overtake when you feel like you're gaining more grip lap after lap, and then you have to go onto the wet line to find the way through.
Every session's been different today, although the times have been reflecting sort of the same overall fastest lap time session to session. Every session's been different in terms of the grip, whether it's been raining, not raining, whether there's a dry line. There's a strong dry line forming out there. I was just standing up top, and massive dry line, but anywhere off the ideal racing line is completely wet.
So 2 racers to go, Junior Rotax and Senior Rotax. Do you need to debrief?
I'm going to go have a debrief. Thank you for having me, Dave.
Good stuff. Pleasure, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be joined by the main man at Team 17. So 2 finals to go then. Junior Max and Senior Max are out. I'm just going to have a look out the window, but I think we've got a lot of juniors plucking for slick tyres out there. Certainly, most of the drivers towards the front have gone for slicks. Amy Peacock, I think, has gone wet. So she'll be hoping to go wet with low tyre pressures and try and hold on. But I think we've certainly got a lot of slick runners. I'll be hoping to get a nice slow shot, if we can, of well, round goes in with a pirouette is Arena Sipilova, and that kart looks like it's struggling to get going. Jake Cozzy will start on pole position. He's got Nathan Rond alongside Tyler Banks and Noah Clare, with Sam Stockton and Alex McCullough on route number 3. Isaac Jameson and Laurie McVeigh in front of Nelson Taylor and Luke McGall. Warwick Milam and Amy Peacock are on route number 6. Row 7 sees Jude Putterfoot and Timmy Shahini, Kurt Kaplan and Harry Ward in front of Elijah Hartley and Zach Jennings on row number 9. Row 10, Jerry Duffy and Fletcher Ground, Charlie Halewood and Arena Sipilova. As we head up towards the timing line, already called as a false start, and correctly so, as the 55 machine is still being wheeled away of Sipilova. That car doesn't look like it's going to get going. So we'll allow the slick runners another lap or so to get some heat into those tyres, because whilst the line is dry, the circuit will be very, very cold. So Jake Cozzy with 2 heat victories so far today. Plenty of slick runners, a smattering of drivers opting to stay on the wet tyre. They are the ones that are really heading towards the sort of puddles or the damp patches on the circuit to try and keep those tyres as cool as possible for as long as possible. 9 minutes and 1 lap on the clock. As we head into the tram lines and up towards the timing line. We're away and racing in Junior Rotaxes. All the way round the outside goes Jake Cozzy. Nathan Ron squeezed to the inside, is going to lose a couple of places. As the field makes their way round Billy's for the first time. It's like a good start there by Isaac Jameson, but then he loses a place. He started P7, ran as high as 4 round the first corner, but then drops down into P5. Timmy Shahini getting a little bit of oversteer in mid-corner, but slots into position up towards the timing line for the first time. Then Jake Cozzy leads from Tyler Banks, Sam Stockton, Isaac Jameson, Nathan Rond, Alex McCullough, Noah Clare, Laurie McVeigh, Luke McGall, Amy Peacock. Complete your top 10 as that Laurie McVeigh coming under pressure from the number 15 of Luke McGall, who graduates out of Honda Cadet. Straight into juniors. Appears to be going well. Jude Pudderfoot, who had a good performance in the second heat, but I think he may well have picked up a penalty for an indiscretion, because he starts this final a little bit further down the order than what he was hoped. As Isaac Jameson, is that down the inside? Yes, it is, on Sam Stockton for third place. No, on Alex McCullough, sorry, because McCullough had got through on Isaac Jameson. Those two need to decide who's going to lead, as down the inside goes Laurie McVeigh on Nathan Rond, and pulling off looks to be Charlie Halewood. And we've got another kart going very, very slowly there as well. So there's Halewood, a warning for Noah Clare, and up towards the timing line. And I think it was Jake Cozzy going slowly. So what has been a perfect day thus far for Jake Cozzy has taken a turn in the final. The WC plate, which was won here at Clay Pigeon. Certainly a driver who knows this track like the back of his hand, is going to be walking into the paddock, and there's the kart on the outside. So Isaac Jameson then leads as he moves to the right hand side. Wave yellow because of the number 12 kart being recovered on the outside of the corner, although I think that has been brought in as the field make their way through. Jameson by 0.4 of a second then from Alex McCullough and Nathan Ron. Laurie McVeigh started in 8th, runs P4. Tyler Banks, Warwick Milam started 11th, currently runs P6. Still a waved yellow on the outside there for that kart. I think that will be in next time round. Gap was 0.4 of a second. It's out to 7 as Alex McCullough and Nathan Ron battle it out as Laurie McVeigh throws the 33 down the inside. Huge chunk of curb and finds a way through. And then he's told by Nathan Rond. And is that McVeigh going slowly? It is McVeigh going slowly. He went in a little bit too hot, but is that a kart issue rather than just going in a little bit too hot issue, because he's not picked up any pace? Thought he'd have gone in a little bit too hot and then got straight back on the power. He's carried on and not peeled off into the pit lane, but Laurie McVeigh appears to have some sort of problem, and he's going to get swallowed up very shortly by the 44 of Noah Clare. Gap for the lead is nearly 1 second now, with 4 minutes down, 5 to go plus 1 lap. McCullough and Rond battle it out. I think it's Fletcher Groans has picked up a contact warning. It does say undefined on the screen, but there's certainly one for Groans coming in as well. Gaps out to 1.3. Jameson continuing to put it in, and Laurie McVeigh was 0.3 off his best time as Nathan Ron goes down the inside. Alex McCullough's going to try and hold on. Can't get it done though. And can Rond now with So the clean-up continues of junior row taxes, and we'll bring you a grid then for seniors and run through any formalities of the day so far then for this one. So it'll be George Cole on pole position. He'll have Jarek Metters alongside. George Cole, your championship leader, and quite a healthy championship lead as well heading into this one. 43 points for George Cole in front of Jarek Metters. Max Chown and Kieran Denyer in front of Noah Hadley and Morgan Hudson-Brown on row number 3. Row 4 we'll see Harry Gill accompanied by Isaac Parkinson, Rory Hinckley and Max Davies, with Ronnie Smith and Lucas Steele on row 6. Row 7 was Tom Taylor. He's got Franklin Rasmuth for company, Billy Edgecombe and Lewis Holt in front of Shaquille Joseph and Caden Welch on row 9. Hannah Lowe, Tom Nottingham, row 10, with Izzy Lawton and George Daniels in front of Emma Stoner and Jay Pearson on row number 12. Jacob Baran with Robin Brain, who retired from the second heat. We saw him right at the start of the stream. He's in front of the Welshman Tom Williams, Max Lorna-Bennock, Alex Moore and Lucas Olofsson in front of Aaron Knight and Raul Foliano, your 32 runners in Senior Max. I can hear a rumble to my right hand side, and I think we may well be seeing them head out onto track and right on cue. To the left of the screen we see our seniors. I don't expect any of them will have gone on the wet tyre, but what they'll have to be very mindful of is for the first half a lap or so, the slicks will be very, very slippy, as they won't have been run in at all. New set for the start of today. And then the wets so far. So George Cole in the colours of Project 1 gets them slowed down nice and early at the right bend towards the final corner. Nice and slow by George Cole, who brings them round. Jarek Metters on the left-hand side, Cole on the right, the pole position. So right for him, left of the screen, and we are away and racing at the first time of asking. And Jarek Metters can't keep it down the inside, but talk about down the inside. We've got some contact in the background. Jarek Metters has managed to navigate it all and drive all the way round the outside. George Cole managed to hold on all the way round the outside, and there was a little bit of contact there from the black and white kart that tipped Cole into a half spin. The field make their way through. Lewis Holt on the outside of Morgan Hudson-Brown. Brown's gone backwards at the start of this race, having started in 6th place. Up towards the timing line though. Metters leads by 1.1 seconds at the end of lap number 1 from George Cole, and then Noah Hadley. Then it's going to be Max Chown. I think it was Chown who went into the back of George Cole on the opening lap. He currently runs in 4th place. Indeed it was Chown in the number 5 machine. Rory Hinckley, Tom Taylor, Ronnie Smith with a good start. Goes 11th to 7th. Not quite as good as Taylor's start though. He was 13th to 6th. With Denyer, Gill, Edgecombe, who makes up 6th. In front of Hudson-Brown, who drops down 5. Further down the order, Tom Williams with a good start. He makes up 6 places. Isaac Parkinson, there was the driver you saw spinning in the background in the yellow machine of TDR. He falls down to P25, having started in 8th place. Gap out again at the front. George Cole cannot do anything at the moment about Jarek Metters. Metters gap out by to 1.3, and on the grass and into the wall goes the number 95 of Caden Welch. And we've got another car off as well. That could well be Tom Williams. It was certainly a Momentum Motorsport liveried kart. And Williams drops down to P31, so it is Tom Williams out of this race, as well as Caden Welch falling all the way down to 30th place, having gone in the wall at the horseshoe. Change for second place. Noah Hadley is in front of George Cole. Gap at the front continues to go out as Tom Williams finally gets his kart back onto track. So the barriers, though, are being thing, and Williams just bringing the kart round slowly, trying to get that back to pit lane. I think he'll wait until the fields come through and then rejoins, picking up a healthy chunk of discarded rubber on the outside as well. This is your battle for second place. Hadley in front of Cole, Chown, Rory Hinckley within touching distance in the background, just trying to close back up. We seem to have plateaued a little bit in this battle for second place. Hadley comfortable. Cole still vulnerable from Max Chown, who seems to be trying to be edged closer lap on lap. Keep an eye out for me for Kieran Denyer in 8th place. He's a bit off the back of those the 6 in front, but on the previous lap was 0.3 faster than Tom Taylor in P7, so there's potential, I think, for Kieran Denyer to get himself up into at least 7th place. And again, Chown edges slightly closer to George Cole, not quite close enough. Although has seen that rear bumper once already in this race on the opening lap, where the field concertina together. Gets a really good drive out of the hairpin. Thought he was going down the inside into the horseshoe there. I was about to say, I think that could be the move for Max Chown on George Cole. Thought he had a run, won't be close enough, I don't think, down to the hairpin. Looks over his shoulder. Oh, he looked over his shoulder, and by the time he looked back, there was George Cole right in front of him, getting bigger and bigger, and that has blown Max Chown's opportunity of a podium, I feel. He'll be well out beyond, I think, the 1 second mark now off the back of George Cole, and is in the clutches of Rory Hinckley. Gap is 1.1 seconds, Cole to Chown. Lead is still 1.9 seconds. It's been pretty much that since the start of the race. Since Metters on the second lap, I think, was out to 1.9. It was 1.1, 1.3, 1.9, I think, pretty much for Jarrett Metters. He is now in second place. And so we back to Noah Hadley in second place. Hadley takes a little bit out of him, but not enough, with 3 minutes to go. There is Kieran Denyer, slowly chipping into Tom Taylor in front of him. And to be fair, he's bringing Morgan Hudson-Brown and Billy Edgecombe with him as well. There's Ronnie Smith on screen and the number 96 machine. Cole with that gap now to Max Chown. They're starting to come up through some of the some lap traffic, finding their way through. That could have been Max Lorna Bennett. That kart looks like it's been in the wars throughout the race day. Metters, though, looking comfortable, but again more traffic in front. So what he's done is he's earned the right to find a way through. Need to take enough time to do that. It doesn't need to rush things. Kieran Denyer, who was flying earlier on, has dropped down into P10. Has not had a particularly fast lap either, nearly a second off the pace, Kieran Denyer. So I wonder if he's either struggled getting past some traffic or whether he's gone in a little bit too deep into one of the two hairpins. That isn't enough for a spin, but certainly a little bit too much to be dealing with. We've got another driver there in the background, just not particularly pleased with things. That's Lucas Olofsson in number 70 as Billy Edgecombe goes down the inside of Tom Taylor. Morgan Hudson-Brown already had that done earlier on in the lap, so Taylor's going to go from 7th to 9th in the space of the corner down at Billy's. Edgecombe and Morgan Hudson-Brown as George Cole makes his way through some traffic as well. Finds a way past the number 32 machine of Aaron Knight. Max Chown does the same. Chown again is probably going to be close enough to George Cole to have one opportunity at him, I think, on the final lap, as Edgecombe and Hudson-Brown both running seeded numbers. Top 10 in this championship, reserved for returning drivers from the previous year to run their finishing position number. Hudson-Brown with the 3, Edgecombe with the 8. Jarrett Metters with the 2, hoping to turn that into a number 1 at the end of the season, but needs a good run here at play to reignite his championship charge. George Cole, the current championship leader, in front of Max Chown and Rory Hinckley, who come into this tied on points. In front of Morgan Hudson-Brown, who's only a point behind them, and Kieran Denyer. 4 drivers split by 7 points, second down to 5th. Cole, though, with a comfortable lead in the championship so far. Metters, who I'm not entirely sure was at the second round at GYG. I say not entirely sure because I also wasn't at GYG. 2 corners from home. We'll be here for the rest of the season though. And if Kieran Denyer can keep up this form, he's going to be very dangerous. Kieran Denyer for Tom Day Racing takes the victory from Noah Hadley and George Cole. Max Chown, Rory Hinckley and Ronnie Smith are your top 6, in front of Morgan Hudson-Brown, Billy Edgecombe with Harry Gill and Kieran Denyer completing your top 10. It's Max Davis in 11th, Lewis Holt, Tom Nottingham, Isaac Parkinson, Jacob Barron with Max Lorna-Bennett, Shaquille Joseph, Robin Brain, Franklin Masama. Caden Welch recovers after a spin earlier on to P20 with Jay Pearson, Hannah Lowe, Emma Stoner with Lucas Olofsson, Aaron Knight, Alex Moore, Tom Taylor falling down the order at the end to finish 3 laps down, having run inside the top 10 earlier on. He ran as high as 7th for the bulk of that race, was 6th at the start, having made a good start and made up some strong places. Lucas Steele, Izzy Lawton, George Daniels, Tom Williams, your other drivers to not see the checkered flag. 26 of the 31 see the black and white flag at the end of that race. A completely dry track leaves us for round number 5. Will it still be dry in the morning for round number 6? Well, you'll have to join us to find out. The first race of the day tomorrow will start with Mighty, will be at 11:15. Do hope you'll join myself, David Sullivan, for that one as we head towards the mid part of the HWE BIM Services Super 1 Championship. Whatever you're doing on your Saturday evening, I hope it's enjoyable. I look forward to welcoming you back for more action tomorrow on Alpha Live from Clay Pigeon.